In 3 years at the SBS level, Liberty has 3 bowl wins and has had at least 8 wins in every single season. But can they do it again now without Malik Willis? So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys, ready to break down and predict Liberty's schedule and record for this upcoming college football season. And you look at the Flames, guys. First off, Hugh Freeze has done a phenomenal job with Liberty. Done a phenomenal job. But last year was a bit of a disappointment. Liberty had a breakout 2020. Expectations were high in 2021, and the Flames only went 8-5. They were 7-2 at one point, but lost 3 straight games, and then ultimately won their bowl game over Eastern Michigan. The Flames looking to bounce back a little bit. Again, just go bowling, maybe win 8 or 9 games again, continuing to stay relevant, at least at the independent stage. When you look at the numbers, this Liberty team, one of their strengths this year is going to be their defense. 5 starters are back from a unit that ranked 11th in the nation last year and a unit that ranked 6th versus the pass. That is huge. That is huge. And that's huge especially because Liberty's offense might struggle a little bit early on. The Flames obviously lost their star dual-threat quarterback Malik Willis, now the quarterback with the Tennessee Titans. And you look at what's left, Charlie Brewer. Charlie Brewer comes in, transferring from Baylor to Utah to now to Liberty. Brewer had 39 starts during his time with the Bears and started the first 3 games for Utah last year. The offensive line is pretty solid. Some skilled players are going to need some opportunities to build up and prove themselves, but it's there. And with the Hugh Freeze offense, they're going to be fast, they're going to be speedy, and I think within the first few games, Liberty's going to get their offense back on track. So you take a look at their schedule, guys, it's actually pretty favorable. It's pretty favorable for Liberty to have a solid year where they might win 8 or 9 games in the regular season, or at least 8 or 9 games in the year overall. They opened the year against Southern Miss. Southern Miss moving over to the Sun Belt Conference. And this team, guys, the Golden Eagles, they weren't good last year. Just 3-9 in Will Hall's first year. And while they should improve a little bit, their offense was one of the worst in the country, ranking 127th nationally last year. I don't see them having much success against this Liberty defense, despite having home field advantage. We think Liberty gets the win over Southern Miss and is 1-0. They then take on UAB. And this UAB team, guys, is still very, very talented, still has a very stingy defense, but something that happened just in the last few weeks, they will not have Bill Clark as their head coach. Bill Clark, who revived this UAB football program, decided to step down from the Blazers after doing a phenomenal job these last few years since UAB brought their football program back. So in week 2, how is UAB going to respond without their head coach? Yes, they've had all offseason to prep for that. They'll have a game to prep for that. But how are they going to do without their head coach? How are they going to do with the game being on the road at Liberty? We just don't think the Blazers are going to have enough, especially offensively right now, one that sputters from time to time, to beat this Liberty defense. So Liberty now 2-0 heading into the road game at Wake Forest, which is where they're going to be handed their first loss. Wake Forest, guys, simply is going to be way too strong. Yes, Liberty was 6th versus the pass last year. What does Wake Forest want to do? Wake Forest wants to throw. Sam Hartman, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, he wants to air it out. But the game is in Winston-Salem. Wake Forest, I believe, right now has way too much speed, way too much size. And while Liberty did a great job of utilizing the transfer portal to bulk up the Lions and to bulk up the areas that they've lost, I don't think they're going to have enough to take down what should be a top 15 team in week 3. So 2-1. We think they take down Akron out of the MAC. Shouldn't be much of an issue against the Zips. And then they take on Old Dominion, another new member of the Sun Belt. So a lot of conference realignment happening over these last few years, and certainly now with the Pac-12 and the Big 12 and the SEC happening here in the next few years. We take a look at Old Dominion, though. I like the Monarchs a lot, guys. This team is looking good. Ricky Rain did a phenomenal job last year. A horrible start, a strong finish, got the Monarchs to a bowl game. Liberty beat them 45-17 last year, but Old Dominion returns a lot of talent. They had that benefit of having those bowl practices. They have some veteran leadership on the team now. Their star quarterback returns in Hayden Wolf. They have a star running back returning. The offensive line practically returns intact. And the run defense, guys, was 35th nationally last year. Not too bad at all. They're going to be able to hone in on that Liberty run game and force Charlie Brewer to win this game through the air, something that he is capable of, but something that I do not think he'll be capable of on October 1st. I believe Old Dominion pulls off a mini upset here over the Flames and wins this game at home. And you Liberty fans out there are going to say, come on, Old Dominion's horrible. How can you say that? Well, didn't you think you'd beat ULM last year? Didn't you think you'd beat ULM last year? We all did, right? This is going to be the ULM of 2022. This will be the game that Liberty, on paper, should win, but falls short to an Old Dominion team that is building themselves up and getting better and better each week. The schedule gets a lot easier after that, though. 2 straight wins, just like that, over UMass and Gardner-Webb. So they bounce back from the loss. Liberty now has 5 wins, just needs 1 more to go bowling. It's not going to come against BYU. Will not come against BYU. The Cougars are too good, guys. Too good up front in the trenches. Great quarterback in Jaron Hall. And the defense, you look at the numbers and you go, hey, they weren't too good last year. A lot of that was contributed to injuries. These guys should be back healthy now. The Cougars will win this game. Liberty gets their bye week before going on the road to Arkansas. Hugh Freeze, a little familiar with Arkansas. Of course, he was a previous head coach at Ole Miss, so those two faced off every year in the SEC West. But the Razorbacks, like BYU, simply too good for the Flames. Great dual-threat quarterback in KJ Jefferson. Unbelievable run game. Sam Pittman has done a phenomenal job of transforming this Razorbacks program into a contender. Not just getting them back to somewhat relevancy, a contender in the SEC, and maybe even on the national stage. The Razorbacks, I believe that's their homecoming game too, should take care of Liberty here. The Flames take their 2nd straight loss. They beat UConn. No issues there. So how perfect for Liberty, guys, to get to face Akron, UMass, Gardner-Webb, UConn, and at the end of the year, New Mexico State. So a very favorable schedule when it comes to what should be easy wins. They beat UConn, fall to Virginia Tech. A couple of years ago, yes, we know they beat Virginia Tech. It was in Blacksburg. But now, even though it is at home, this Virginia Tech defense, I think, ultimately is going to be too much. This is a game, honestly, guys, between 2 teams that have pretty solid defenses, 2 offenses that might be mediocre. You know, Liberty does have home field advantage, but from a size standpoint, I'm going to err on the side of Virginia Tech. And I think, honestly, from a defensive standpoint, I'm going to err on the side of Virginia Tech, now under the leadership of Brent Pry, a fantastic defensive coach. So they lose to Virginia Tech at home, wrap up the year with a win over New Mexico State, who might be the worst team in college football this year. And Aggies haven't produced much for a very, very long time. And with that, guys, Liberty will be 7-5 to conclude 2022. 7-5. Maybe they're 8-4. Maybe you think they're going to beat Old Dominion. But outside of that, guys, I think the rest of the losses are pretty cut and dry. Losing to Wake Forest, BYU, Arkansas, and Virginia Tech. All Power 5 teams. BYU, yes, an independent, but should be a nationally ranked team. So I don't really see Liberty winning any of those big-time upset games, being able to take down one of those big Power 5 opponents. I don't think the talent is there. But Liberty, for the most part, should win the games they're supposed to win. That should give them at least 7 wins this year, an opportunity at their 4th straight 8-win season. And if you're a Flames fan, what more can you ask for? How much happier can you be? Hugh Freeze continues to do a great job building up this program. And the Flames, once again, will be going bowling and might probably win their bowl game in 2022. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. We just wrapped up the Independents, which means we're heading back into our next Power 5 conference. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share the videos. Check out everything down in the description below as well, including those expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Sign up for those today. Become a part of our GE Nation. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.